Hello there. I'm so happy you're here. Welcome to my podcast, Sacred Soul Sisters. My name is Justina. I am an Usui Holy Fire and Angel Reiki Master with over 20 years of practice, and I'm your host. I can't wait to let others feel the love of community and remind us of the importance of coming together instead of coming apart. Now let's take a deep breath together in through our nose and a long exhale out of our mouth. This is my intentions in a poem to set the tone for our sacred soul sister community. Here you go. Welcome, dear soul, to this sacred space where all are embraced with love and grace. From every land, from near and far, no matter who you are, you're a star. Feel the warmth, the light, the peace. Let your spirit find release. Here we gather, hearts aligned, to uplift, to heal, to realign. Breathe in deeply, feel your glow. Let your light expand and flow. As I pour into you with love so true, your cup overflows, your soul renews. Together we rise, in love we stand, lifting vibrations hand in hand. A mission of light, a journey divine. Thank you for sharing your soul with mine. Welcome to the Sacred Soul Sisters space, a home of love and sacred embrace. I'm so glad you're here. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the Sacred Soul Sisters podcast. I'm your host, Justina, Reiki Master, Intuitive Guide, and founder of AngelReikiJourney.com, where I help others clear energetic blocks and return home to the truth of who they really are. So today, I'm super excited. We are diving into a fascinating intersection of science and spirituality with an incredible guest, Erin Brown, the founder of Consciously Erin. She's amazing. I've been following her on Instagram for a while now, and I have shared her with, I don't know, probably a million people, it feels like. I love her energy. She's a frequency and clarity coach, an energy channel, a teacher. She works with metaphysics, energy, science, and she's able to relay it in a grounded yet expansive way. She also has a master's in health professions education, and she's spent years developing innovative approaches and medical simulation, while guiding others throughout their energetic frequency and beyond. So, through her Patreon community, she also offers classes, books, or book clubs, open channel sessions, and weekly reflections that connect the dots between the scientific and the spiritual. Her work reminds us that consciousness isn't something outside of us, it's something we can tune into. So settle in, open your heart, and let's explore what it means to live consciously and in frequency with the ever expanding universe. Erin.
Well,
So,
hey.
for those that you are, I'm so happy you're here. So, for those that are new to you, I definitely want to make sure we touch on the Schumann resonance.
Mhm.
But how would you define frequency in like a scientific slash spiritual sense? Like, what does that mean to you when someone talks about frequency?
All right. So, first, I think we need to establish the difference between frequency and vibration because those two terms are used very interchangeably, but they don't mean the same thing. It's easy to say raise your frequency or raise your vibe, but what does that mean, right? So,
Right.
everything is energy and everything is vibrating at different rates. The rate of vibration is your frequency. Okay. So, when you are thinking about something like emotions, which are energy in motion, something like joy is going to have a higher frequency because it's moving faster. And you can feel that physically in your body when you experience joy. It feels good. You want to laugh and all that sort of stuff. Something like grief is heavier because it moves slower and you can feel that in your body. It also takes it longer to process through your system because it moves slower. So, when I'm talking to people about their frequency, what I'm talking to them about is the base frequency that you emit as a being here on this planet that is created by the things that you put your attention on and consume in your life, both with your eyes, your ears, and your mouth, right? Everything matters. and you create a base resonant frequency like a station on a radio, right? But you can adjust that up or down based on where your attention is. And so when I'm working with people, I'm teaching them how to recognize their own frequency, how to recognize when they're out of tune, so to speak, and how to sort of bring it back to a place that feels better for them. And I do it in a way that is grounded in science, because as adults, we need to understand why we're going to do something before we can fully invest in it. That's how the adult brain works. When we're in school and we're kids, you want to learn and get good grades so your parents are happy. When you're an adult, you're not plunking down money to pay for something unless you know it's going to do something for you. So if I can give you the why of something works, you can figure out the how. And that's kind of where I come in.
Wow, that's perfect and so needed right now. I feel like a lot of times people very much so separate metaphysics and science.
Right.
But I
They
feel
try
like,
to.
yes, and I feel like the word physics in metaphysics and science already have a collaboration. So I feel like um, I don't know that they can be separate.
They can't. They depend on each other. Even Einstein.
Okay.
Even Einstein knew that. If you ever go back and read any of Einstein's letters or papers, which are quite fascinating, to be honest, you can find them on websites everywhere. He talks a lot about things that he called spooky action at a distance, or quantum physics as we know it now. Okay. So these are things that have been around forever that scientists have always struggled to understand. But something I want to remind everybody is it's only science fiction until it's not. Let's just look at something very obvious in our lives. FaceTime. You and I talking on this screen right now. I can clearly remember watching Marty McFly get fired over FaceTime on Back to the Future, and my dad clearly saying that would never happen. Nobody wants to be on something like that. That'll never happen. And here we are in my lifetime living out that science fiction. So before you get too ahead of yourself and say it's not real, maybe we just don't understand it yet. Maybe we are just catching up to it, because metaphysics is so expansive that I don't think the human brain is designed to fully understand it. And I think it's taking us a long time to recognize and admit that. And then once we do, that's, I feel like, where the bigger understanding comes through. And that's kind of what I feel like the biggest problem with Western medicine is. As someone who worked in medicine, like I was a nurse for 25 years. I obviously believe in Western medicine, right? I was teaching at a university, teaching medicine. Um, However, it's very limited because it's very arrogant in its presumption that it knows everything. But if we can balance the brilliance of Western medicine with the philosophy of Eastern medicine, we have a total picture of health. I completely understand if you are suffering from the symptoms of depression, it is incredibly difficult to get yourself out of that. That's where medication is helpful. You take the medication to relieve the symptom, but that's not where the work should stop. When the symptoms are lifted is when you do the work. When you can finally breathe is when you start the exercise, right? You go to the therapist, you go to the sound healer, you go to the Reiki master, you go hiking, you do grounding, and then you gradually work yourself off of the medication because you've taken care of the root problem and not just thrown a pill at the symptom. And that's kind of one of the main reasons why I ended up leaving the university, is because I felt very conflicted in what I was trying to teach people. Because yes, I believe this, but I also believe this. And where I was not necessarily conducive or open to that type of conversation. So I left there with the explicit mission of being the bridge between physical and metaphysical medicine, because they just need to talk to each other. We could be best friends. We could do some really cool stuff if we were just friends. Yeah.
Mm. Hello. I just wanted to drop in real quick, and I wanted to reach out this invitation. If you and your friends feel called to gather for a spiritual retreat, say there is a venue near you, say there's one of your friends' homes that you'd like to host it in. Currently only in the United States, I am doing this, but my goal is definitely to be able to broaden my horizons in the near future. But if you and your friends feel called to gather for a spiritual retreat somewhere local to you, and one that nurtures healing, love, peace, rejuvenation, I would be honored to hold space and guide you through that journey. Retreats are seriously one of my greatest joys, to lead, to teach, to share, to create community together, to love on people, to remind them how worthy and amazing they are. I I just absolutely love them. And also, if you know of a venue or a sacred space with beautiful healing energy that you'd love to suggest for some of my retreats in the future, I would love to hear from you. So please reach out, let me know, or if you would like more information or to connect, please reach out to me at email Justina, Justina, at angelreikijourney.com. So Justina, Justina, at ANGELREIKIJOURNEY.com. I can't wait to hear from you. I love you guys. Have a great day. Oh my gosh. Okay, so my soul is like losing its mind inside my body right now. I am so excited. So, I've been a nurse for 23 years too, and a Reiki practitioner as well. And I freaking love everything you're saying. And I feel like we are headed in that direction. And my crown is
We
going
are.
crazy right now, which is so exciting
It
that we are
is.
headed there.
Have you
And
heard of healing touch therapy? Not to interrupt you, but have you heard of healing touch therapy?
I have, and from what I've been told, it's similar to Reiki.
Very, very similar. Created by nurses, accredited by the American Medical Association, meaning you
Oh, it's
can,
accredited?
yes, girl, you can bill
Did
insurance
not
for
know
this
that.
stuff. So, this is a real practice that is becoming more and more prevalent with things like PTSD, because PTSD is so tender to deal with. You can't go in
Yes,
there with a bulldozer. You have to go in there with a feather, and you have to allow the patient to be the director of this work. And healing touch therapy is really moving in that direction. And it has all this momentum behind it because of the nurses that are sort of building this. More progressive areas like Illinois, where I am, Northwestern Medicine, the Veterans Hospital up here, they're kind of really starting to look into this. And the school where I was teaching, right, they were also starting to sort of talk about it in the background, not enough to bring it up front, but they were
mhm.
definitely having conversations about, hey, have you heard of this? And it's been around for a bit, but it's just now starting to gain momentum, and people are starting to get their certifications, and nurses are starting to migrate over there because it feels like a more holistic approach to the person
Yes,
and not the illness, right? Because the person
yes,
needs the care, not the illness. The illness needs to get lost. The person needs some help.
yes. Oh my gosh. And I know that they have instituted some Reiki programs too in some like operating rooms and things,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll allow some nurses to come in and do that.
Yep.
And I'm so excited for that
I worked with a
expansion.
physician who, when he was operating and not teaching, which he was usually teaching, but when he was operating, he would play music in the operating room attuned to high frequency. It was
Mm,
like, very light classical sounding music, but it had that tone running through it, the whatever heart tone is or whatever.
yes.
And I just thought that was fantastic. But yet he wasn't open to the idea of energy helping to
Hmm.
heal the body, which I found very interesting, but well, you pick your battles, right?
It's so bizarre and so beautiful. And I feel like in my line of work, I feel like nursing has been a great background for my sessions because
Mm-hmm.
as spirits shown me like over and over, we come into different spots of the body and you just see like resentment and you see pain and they just haven't been able to release that, and you help people walk through releasing some of that, and their level of inflammation decreases, like
Yep.
their immune system improves. Like there's so many beautiful side effects
Absolutely.
of doing that. So, oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
I
Oh,
had a client. So when I first started out in this world of spirituality, I was doing Reiki as well. And I had a client, my business partner, and I had a client that over the course of a year, she had like measurements from her doctor of her thyroid as it
hmm.
shrank over the course of a year. And she was doing no medical treatments. She was not taking any medication. She was not doing anything other than she started eating cleanly, doing her yoga and coming for energy, right? So, and she was very, she came I think every week she came to see us. And it was really interesting for me as a nurse and scientist to literally understand these measurements that I'm looking at and go, wow, it really is shrinking. It is this great feeling of validation. And she started feeling better. I mean, it was just a lot of things that you physically see as a practitioner all the time that I wish was one of those things that I could just touch somebody so they could feel it or they could see it, like that's a superpower I want. Like I want to just be able to tell you what's in my head. It's so much easier.
Yes. Yes. And you can see someone's outward appearance start to change too over time. Like their
Absolutely.
color, their
Absolutely.
tone, their presence, like everything starts to change when they truly invest in healing like themselves on a different level, than
Well,
just medications.
I mean,
It's
my own journey is a perfect example of that, right? So before my awakening experience, I had been diagnosed with APS, antiphospholipid syndrome, which is very rare and it can very much kill you. And the only way to treat that is to take injections of warfarin twice a day. Okay. And I was on a very high dose because I was Coumadin resistant, right?
oh,
So
jeez.
not only did I have the fear of APS, which means my blood will clot by itself because it strips the red blood cells of the protein layer and makes you clot prone. The way they discovered this was two DVTs, and a PE that I discovered on my own ultrasound machine at the university. Okay, so that's that.
Yeah,
So,
got it.
right. So anyway, um, I was put on this medication, and for 2 years, I obediently took this medication, all the while feeling worse and worse and worse and worse. Right. And then COVID hit, and I got sent home because what are you going to do at the university? And I
Right.
was literally sitting at this very desk, and I'm thinking to myself, I am so bored. I need something to do. So I thought I'm going to get into the library for the school and I'm going to research my own disease, right? Like why haven't I done that to begin
Right.
with? So I have this
Right.
beautiful library. So I get in there and I start reading all the stuff. And as a nurse, I know what tests I've had and what tests I have not had. And I start to notice that there is a test that continuously comes up as a criteria for diagnosis, right? And I do not remember having this test. So I request my records. I start looking through my records, have not had this test. Then I discovered that the doctor who discovered the disorder, Dr. Hughes, was actually still alive and teaching in England. So then I'm sitting there and I'm thinking,
Oh, girl.
so who's better to ask than the guy who discovered the disease? And what do I have to lose? If I email him and he doesn't answer me, who cares? I'm in the same place I was before. So I emailed him and understanding how doctors work. I didn't ask him to diagnose me. What I said was, hey, Dr. Hughes, I have been diagnosed with APS for the last 2 years. I've been taking Coumadin twice a day. This is how I've been feeling. And my numbers are still not great. They're telling me I'm Coumadin resistant. I recently discovered that I have not had this test. If I were a friend of your daughter's, would you suggest that I get retested? Or would you be comfortable with the treatment regimen I'm on? And he, by God, emailed me back and he said, I strongly suggest that you get retested. So I took, like a good little nerd, I printed out all the data and took it to my specialist, which because APS is so rare, my specialist was an oncologist, not even someone who specialized in APS, was an oncologist. And I get there and I explained everything to him. And this man turned around on his little rolly chair and looked at me and said, I'm the expert in this room. You need
Oh,
to listen to me. What I say about your treatment is what is real. And it doesn't matter what you think you have found or not found. And if you don't follow this treatment, most likely you're going to die.
oh,
So
bless his heart.
so, as someone who teaches new doctors sitting in
Mhm.
the chair, I thought, well, you're
Ooh,
fired.
goodbye. Yeah.
So, I got up, I requested all my records, and I left. And I went back to my primary care doctor, who has always been wonderful. And I sat down with him and I explained everything. And he was very much like, I'm sure you've been tested. I'm sure you are. We're going to look. Let me look with you. He went through everything. And even when he couldn't find it, he's like, I am so sure you have this. There's no way they'd be treating you for this without being positive you had it, because putting you on Coumadin like this twice a day is reckless if you don't have this disorder.
Mhm.
So he orders the test, assures me it's going to be fine, sends me on my way. I get a call 6 a.m. the next morning from my doctor's personal cell phone. and he says, I need you to immediately come to my office. You do not have this disorder, and I don't know how this medication is going to affect you on a physical level with your organs, your blood pressure, your blood production, everything else. I have no idea. So I need you to come here now so I can start running some tests. And when I got off the phone with him, as
Oh,
someone completely and 100% grounded in science, and science was a god to me, there was nothing wrong with science. And all of a sudden, it was wrong. And everything I thought I knew completely collapsed around me. And it wasn't just the recognition that I didn't have a disease, that I had literally allowed myself to become the entire identity of my life, right? I
right.
wasn't Erin anymore. I was APS. I can't go here because I have APS. I can't eat that because I have APS. I can't do that because I have APS. All of that suddenly just gone. And I started going through all of these things in my head. And it was like, very difficult to describe, but it was like watching a slideshow of my life of all these things. Well, if that's not true, then that's not true. And that's not true. And that's not true. And that's not
Right.
true. And I had like a total mental collapse. And for about a week, I genuinely could not function. I didn't get out of bed really. I barely took a shower. I was just laying in bed and going over and over and over and over in my head all the things, all the years of school, all the years of everything I thought I knew to be true, all the medications I took, all the things I did. Because at that point, APS wasn't the only thing I was being treated for. I was also being treated for chronic depression, for migraines, for IBS, all kind. I was like literally my
Your
breakfast was,
foundation was just ripped
yes,
apart.
everything.
Everything you
I
thought you stood
literally,
on.
my
Like,
breakfast was a handful of pills, right? So
my
now I'm sitting here thinking, well, if I don't have that, what else don't I not have? Right? Like, what else don't I
God.
have?
Right.
So,
What is real? What is
right,
not real?
exactly. I mean, and long story short, that moment, that complete break from what I fully thought was 100% the truth, sent me down a road of meditation and finding teachers miraculously somehow popping up into my life,
Yes.
chance meetings, visions, dreams. I mean, the stuff that I have experienced personally myself 5 years ago, if you told me that you were experiencing, I would have been like, we need a science consult. Like it's all stuff that I can't deny because I've experienced it, but I know how it sounds when I say it, and something that I like to remind my clients and myself is, listen, people who are actually delusional don't think they're delusional. So if you're questioning if you're crazy, you're probably okay. So just keep that in mind. People who are delusional are pretty convicted. So, you know,
That's very true. And part of my story was like when I first started seeing spirit too. And I was just like, uh, I mean, in my mind's eye mostly, but sometimes I'll see it peripherally. But I was like, oh, I'm schizophrenic. Like
right.
I'm going to have to be admitted. Like I'm jacked up. So now, like, my response to people when they come to me is always like, before I tell you anything else, you're not crazy.
Yes, exactly. And it really makes me wonder, and this is not to at all make light of any kind of mental illness. That is not the intention of this comment, but it makes me wonder if we need to revisit the way that we see these things. Because,
Amen.
I really feel like, and obviously I am not someone who has schizophrenia or has ever experienced it. However,
Mhm.
through my training, I have worked with patients with schizophrenia. And I wonder sometimes if it's like a Kundalini awakening that's out of control, that needs to be
Yes.
reined in with some tools and some practice and allowing the
Yeah.
person to sort of bring themselves together. Dissociative identity disorder happens when there's a trauma. That's PTSD on massive level. It's not something broken, it's a way of your body protecting you. It's like when your body forms a cyst around an infection. So what you have to do is go in and get rid of the infection, and the cyst will heal itself. And I really think we need to start looking at these things through different lenses and not just categorizing everything as this is this or this is that, even all the way down to OCD, ADD, autism. I mean,
Oh,
I
yes.
genuinely believe that ADHD and autism are both mechanisms of human evolution. Because if you look at us as beings, where we are now with the technology and the input that we have versus where we were a couple hundred years ago, it's insane. It's insane.
Oh, yeah.
ADHD is your brain trying to allow you to multitask, right? But because society tells you you have to focus on one thing, you feel like you're broken. But one of the most freeing things I ever did was work with my ADD instead of fight my ADD. And that was
Mhm.
incredibly freeing, and it helped me to be very productive. But because we've been taught it's wrong, we don't do it, you know?
So true. So true. I feel like you're talking through my voice. It's kind of creepy. But like there's so many things I resonate with. I've felt on so many different levels. I've also kind of had moments where I'm sort of I do some serious thinking about all of the patients that have been created as patients that have been admitted to psych facilities, especially 100 years ago, right? Like, especially 50, 20 years ago. I just really, I, I can't wrap my head around that they were all technically, clinically appropriate to be have that diagnosis, right? I feel like there's so much more going on. There were so many more connections that I just feel like we really missed the boat with. Anyway, that's
Well, we
kind of
don't incorporate anything into our healthcare system currently that taps
right,
into the spiritual side of a person. And
right.
it is, you
Until
know,
hospice,
right,
until
until
hospice,
hospice.
which
And
is ridiculous.
it
The
is
last part,
ridiculous because for most people, I mean, there's always going to be the 2% that
sure,
literally are psychopaths,
sure,
sociopaths, and have
absolutely,
zero connection.
a
But
million
most
percent.
people feel very alone and very lost.
Yes,
And it aggravates all the symptoms that they have that they're experiencing. And it's like a self feeding loop that's nearly impossible to get out of because you can't talk about it because you feel crazy, and you feel crazy because you can't talk about it, and then you're in your own head and you're going around and around and around and around and around. If you
yes.
had someone to sit with you and try to anchor
Mhm.
you into it and give you actual tools that you can use instead of just telling you just go outside and frolic, like what, that's not a thing,
Oh my
like
god.
come on.
Right, right.
But give you some kind of actionable tool and empower you to fix it rather than tell you take this pill, you'll feel better. That's so disempowering to me.
And
It's
let's
it's
increase the dose next week because it's not helping enough yet, and then we'll increase it again, and we'll add 2 more
right.
because that's not enough.
Right.
Yes, I totally get it. Erin, can you be my new best friend? How do I hire you to be my friend? Um, it's just it's really crazy. I completely resonate. So, on your website, you talk about being a frequency and a clarity coach,
Yes.
and what does the clarity part mean to you, like, on a soul level? Like, what do you feel like?
So I think you actually experienced this when we first got on this call, right? So, as a frequency and clarity coach, what I do is the best way to explain it is when you're a kid and you're learning how to ride your bike, and your
Mhm,
parent or whoever is holding on to the back of your bike while you're wobbly, right?
mhm.
Eventually, you're going to get your balance. The parent's going to let go, and you're going to stay in that area and be fine going off. I'm the person back there holding the seat, giving you clarity, getting your balance, and then I'm going to let go so that you can go on and do whatever you need to do. For you and I, when we first came on this call, you said something about time. And immediately my channel kicked in, and I gave you a piece of information that steadied your wobble on what that is. And now you feel better about that, right? So that's
Yes,
exactly how I work with clients in private sessions. I want them to come with their questions, not does Joe think about me, but things like, why do I feel like I'm losing track of time all the time? And why do I hear this ringing in my ears? And how come when there's big white energy on the Schumann, I get physically ill? What does that mean? What is a biofield and how does that affect me? Those are the questions that I want to give you clarity on because that's the basis of a good understanding of yourself. And when you understand yourself and how you interact with the energy around you, it can give you the power to change your life. I'm not changing your life. You are changing your life with what you learn, right? So that's I hope that under explains it a little bit. That's the easiest way I can think to explain it.
yes, and that's definitely something I wanna get to. So this is, for those of, people listening that are not familiar with the Schumann resonance, can you
Mhm.
tell us what that is and how
Yes.
you came to know of it?
Yes. So the Schumann resonance is a measurement. It's not the energy itself, but it's the name of the measurement that's taken. And it's a set of something called extremely low frequency electromagnetic waves, ELF. Okay. We've all heard ELF. That's what this is. These naturally occur in something called the ionosphere, which is like a cushion around the earth. It kind of around this space, right? It's like a bubble, right? The
And this
main
is proven. This is not
Yes,
your
this is all
theory,
science. This is
but
science. This is everything I'm telling you about the Schumann right here. This is all science, study backed, everything, right? I'll tell you when I go off script, right? The main resonance of this space is 7.83 hertz. Okay. But there are things like lightning strikes, tectonic plate movement, CME injections from the sun, solar wind speeds. All of these things affect this space around the earth, this cushion of energy. And when we get a big push of something like a CME, a coronal mass ejection from our sun of plasma energy sent in our direction, when it hits that, it's kind of like ringing a bell, right? It gets rung and then it spreads out in the ionosphere like this. So when I'm looking at the graphs, I'm looking at the bell being rung and the spreading out of this energy in the ionosphere. Now, where I am coming from is also scientific in nature. The human brain in theta wave state is very, very close to 7.83 hertz. I believe it's 7.84 hertz. So the
say
science,
that one more time.
the theta wave state for the brain, human brain, is, I believe, 7.84 hertz. It might be 7.83, but it's either the same or almost exactly the same as the Schumann resonance. Coincidence? Wow. I think not.
Yeah.
So,
right. Exactly.
when the Schumann is picking up on different types of energy entering the atmosphere, logically, because we are energetic beings living on a planet receiving this energy, it made sense to me that it may affect us in some way. I did not understand how, right? But I thought it might affect us. And this all came from a conversation with a friend of mine who was in meteorology school, having lunch with him. And I was literally talking about how some days I feel crazy and some days I'm so energetic. And he just leaned over and casually goes, "You ever heard of the Schumann?" And I'm like, what? And he goes, "Yeah." And he explained it to me and he goes, "There are actual studies out, verified scientific studies that correlate with energy we receive on the Schumann and brainwave activity." Right. So then I, as a scientist, I'm like, oh, well, that's really cool. So for the next 365 days, without skipping or missing a single day, every day I got up and I got out my data notebook and I recorded the date, what the Schumann was reporting, and how I felt. And I did that every day for a year. And because I worked at a university, I had access to a lot of like statistical analyzing AI stuff because there's
Right.
studies being done. So I take all this data and I plug it into one of these AIs and I ask after a year, is there a correlation to this? And obviously, we all know correlation and causation are not the same, but correlation is important, right? Sure enough, spits out a bell curve and says, absolutely, there is a correlation to how you feel and what's showing up on this graph. So for me as a scientist, the next step in something like that is peer review, right? Because I did a study on myself and now there's peer review. So two problems with that. Number one, no one is going to ever publish a study with a one participant and you're the one running the study. Nope, not going to do it. And number two, who am I going to send it to? Right. So what I did was what had happened was I decided I'm going to put it out there and ask my peers, right? So who are my peers? At the time, my peers were TikTok. So I just started making videos and legitimately asking, do you feel the same? Because I want to know if there's something here to this. And it has literally turned into this whole big thing where every single day I come on and I tell you how I feel. But something I want everybody to remember is you may or may not always feel the same as me. A big important piece of this is that it's tied to the theta brain wave state. So if you are very physically focused, if you're working your job and you're chasing your kids and you're trying not to get run over by the crazy weirdo down the street, you are not anywhere near theta brainwave state and are not going to necessarily always be receptive to receiving it as we as a planet are receiving it. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean you're not going to get it. It just means right now you're not open to receiving it. The reason I receive it when it happens so profoundly is because the nature of my job is to literally be in a meditative state 80% of my day. So I work with clients, I do live readings, I'm constantly doing this stuff. I have to always be in that state. So I'm going to pick up on it often before anybody else. However, if that energy comes in, you're not ready for it, it doesn't just evaporate. It's not like you pay attention or you miss it. It doesn't work that way, right? So what happens is it tends to form an energetic pocket around you, right? Around your biofield. And that's when people start to feel restless, anxious. I need to do something, but I don't know what. And what's happening is your biofield and that new energy are doing this. It's creating a dissonance or rubbing like a blister on the back of your foot. And when you go into a theta state, when you go to sleep that night, when you meditate, you're going to relax and it will slowly start to integrate itself into your system because it's not here to overwhelm you. It's not here to push you backwards. It's here to help you. That doesn't mean that sometimes it doesn't feel overwhelming, but that's not the intention behind it, and you can always distract yourself and you'll definitely shut down the flow. So it's just, learning to kind of balance and work with it and that sort of thing.
Spirit came in, I think around a year ago and just kept whispering in my ear, we integrate, we calibrate. And they had me do a voice recording of it. And I listened back on the voice recording and I can almost hear drumming in the background, even. It's very bizarre. But they were like, I want you to listen to this all of the time. And I'm like, this is the weirdest thing. And I'm like, but I tend to argue a lot. And then they always win. I don't know what I really logically realize all of that, but I just still do it. And
So,
I'm like,
I see with people typically when that happens, that's a karmic lesson you're working on.
oh,
That
okay.
surrender. If it's just that freaking stubborn in
Yeah,
your
that word
energy, you're
is
balancing something out there. That's surrender. So, of course, this is taking us on a tiny bit of a tangent, but remembering that karma is not about retribution. It's not here to punish you. It's here to help you learn the balance between two sides of something. So, if you are struggling with surrender in this life experience you've had or are having a life experience somewhere else, your higher self is having a life experience where you've completely given everything up. And so you have to come together and learn the balance in the middle. And that's when the lesson is learned. That's when the karma is balanced, right?
wow. Yes, that very much resonates.
I did
Oh,
not mean to take us off on that tangent. I apologize.
no, no. Well, you know how it works. Yeah. It's always interesting. And it really, yeah, surrender has never been my strong suit. But I've made progress to be clear. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Well, you can always reframe it. I'm working on that.
that's
True
right.
statement and moving forward. I am working on that.
Absolutely. I love that. Thank you. Um, so how do you view like okay, because a lot of people talk about like it feels like things are moving faster too. It feels
Mm-hmm.
like people that are coming into spirituality for the first time right now are sort of like having moments that it took me a while to get to, it feels like. Um, and does that resonate with you? Do you feel like there's a more rapid spiritual awakening type thing happening across the planet? What are
Yes.
your thoughts on that?
Yes, and it lines up perfectly with a lot of different things, right? So when you look at astrology and the cycles that we're going through, we're at the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new cycle. When you look at the things they call it the turnings in society, right? Each block is a set of generations. We are at the end of a turning, which is the destruction right before the rebuilding, right? And we are at the end of a Kali Yuga cycle. We are literally, if you look at all the different tools that we have for ourselves that are deemed spiritual, they are quite all pointing at the fact that we are standing at the edge of something brand new. And I don't even think that we hid it from ourselves very well with the naming of our generations. Friend, we're just birthing Generation Alpha. Hello, new beginning, right? We didn't
Wow.
even hide the secret from ourselves. So Yes, I think it's very important because as we go through this destructive cycle, which is 100% necessary because we have become so incredibly tied to everything outside of us, just like I was, we
So true.
have to go through this very destructive cycle to get rid of these things. And in order to come out of that on the other side, these waves of awakening people are happening to be the scaffolding for each next wave. So, for example, there was a big wave in 2020, my wave, right? So the
Hmm.
people who woke up in 2020s are now the teachers that the people who are awakening last year, this year are seeking out. The people who are awakening last year, this year will be the teachers that the next wave seeks out. And each successive
Wow.
wave fills a hole that the last one left because your greatest confidence and your greatest understanding will be in talking about and teaching about the thing you needed the most when you were going through your awakening experience and could not find. For me, that's understanding how science ties into metaphysics. I felt very lost with that. So I created that myself. I did the research, I built that myself. So when I speak about that, I am 100% confident on that. And so these little holes, it's like crochet, there's little tiny holes, right? And for each one that
Mhm.
comes up next, we're filling in those gaps so that when the time comes for us to step into whatever this golden age may be, we have all of the teachers and all of the stuff in place to naturally roll into this. It's just a very orchestrated, like if you zoom way out, it's very orchestrated. It's very fine tuned. It feels very much like it's going exactly like it should. That doesn't mean it's going like we want it to. That doesn't mean it's going in a way we would prefer for it to happen, but it is absolutely happening in the way that it must happen for these things to come undone because we are far too anchored in what we think we know is true that we have to lose all faith in that before we can look to something else. Just like with my own story.
Wow, that's so true. There's so much in the physical. We get so focused on the outside of us. Uh, and sometimes I feel like purposely, right? Because
Well, it's
we
an
don't want
escape.
to,
Sure.
yeah. Mhm.
If you aren't ready to do it, the healing, it's far easier to blame someone else. So, of course,
Right,
I mean,
right.
most people, this is a point to what you're talking about and to what I tell all of my clients. One of the biggest hangups I see with my clients in their connection between spirit and themselves is their disbelief that they're special enough to have this connection.
Hmm.
First of all, I don't know who told you that you needed to be special, number one. And number two, let me just put your mind at ease. 99% of this world population is walking around asleep. You are awake. That makes you special. The fact that you know it's there is enough. That's it. Stop making yourself jump down rabbit holes and go through all these weird things that don't really resonate with you and let go of that. And just
Right.
remember you are special simply by virtue that you know it's there because nobody else does. It's like a secret room and we're all secret friends, right? That's what
Hmm.
makes you special. It has nothing to do with the acts that you perform or anything like that. It's not about earning it, it's about recognizing it is already given.
Wow, that's beautiful. Yeah, I feel like so many moments that every moment you spend in meditation or in that theta brainwave, I feel like really serves your soul so well because it allows you, well, from my perspective, it allows me to step back away from everything that is going on, all of the destruction that we just talked, all of the chaos, the craziness, it almost feels like I'm hovering at times,
Right.
witnessing it versus being right in the middle of it and screaming for my life,
Right.
right? Because I feel
And
like it's so easy to do that
it
sometimes.
is. And do you know why we meditate, energetically speaking? Do you know why?
Why?
Because quantum mechanics teaches us that energy slowed down becomes information. So when you slow your energy down enough, you can start to receive all the information being offered to you all day long as information and not just energy. Think of it like photosynthesis. The sunlight is shining, the plant performs photosynthesis and turns it into sugar. The sunlight is shining, you perform meditation and turn it into information. That's why we meditate. That's why you want to do that. That's why you want to train your energy to easily fall into that when you need to, or to stay in that more often, so that as you're walking through your day, you can receive the inspiration that's being sent to you. Because, friends, source does not send you inspiration only when you're in meditation. Like, what?
Right.
That's not a thing. Like,
Yes.
whenever you're out in your day, you are constantly being bombarded, but because you are distracted, because you are not focused, because you are in 100 different places, you don't see it. So meditation is slowing it down, helping you be present in this moment so that you can pick up on that stuff. That's why meditation does not always have to be sitting alone in a dark room and arguing with your brain about being quiet. Do something active.
Right.
Do something active.
Yes.
Anything you
Yes.
do that gives you that sense of when you look down at your watch, you go, oh my God, it's been an hour.
Mm.
Meditation. That's a theta brainwave state. Give yourself credit for all the little things you do. When you're jogging, I don't jog. I am not a runner. If I'm running, you should all be running. But if
Right.
you're a jogger, joggers talk a lot about that runner's high, meditation,
Mhm.
right? Your endorphins kick in, you get in that rhythm, and all of a sudden your brain opens up. You start remembering where you hid your keys. You remember you have a meeting on Tuesday, all this stuff. That's just your meditation opening up. That's all that is, right? So anything you do that gives you that sense of flow, creating art, singing, dancing, cleaning your house, organizing your cabinets. If you love to have a clean cabinet, girl, get in there. That is meditation. Keep a
Yes.
little notebook. I tell everybody, I used to have, or on your phone, I'm dating myself, but I used to have a little notebook, like it was this big, right? One of those little tiny steno notebooks. And I constantly had it in my back pocket. And any little idea I had, no matter where I was, I would write it down. Didn't have to act on it right then, but
Right.
catch it before it disappears, because you're
Yes.
not going to remember in 5 minutes,
No.
right? That's what it feels like to be connected to spirit. You are a straw, not a sponge, always. So catch it while it's there, you know?
Yes.
Now
I
you
tell
everybody has a phone attached to their hand. Send yourself a text. It's not hard. you know,
right. Right.
this is
Yeah.
just using the stuff you already have to enhance your own connection with source. You just have to
Or
open
even
up
a voice memo. Like I do that a
voice
lot.
memo, anything. I
Mhm.
text myself all the time. All the time. I'm my own
Mhm.
best friend. I love it. I always agree with me too. It's great.
Oh, that's wonderful. I do talk a lot about our spirit teams are forever guiding us. We're getting so much information and it's so
Always.
beautiful. It's so beautiful. They really want to assist us throughout this life.
And they don't even lose
We
patience
can't.
with you. That's
It's just
they're not even
insane.
sitting there going, "This girl, I've been sending her the same message for the last 24 years and she's not lip picking up." Nope, they're saying, "It's okay, I'll send it again. It's okay, I'll send it again. It's okay, I'll send it again.
Yes.
It's okay, I'll send it again." They're excited, they're happy, they want to be there with you. They want instruction from you too. They're kind of like kids in helping you cook breakfast. They're super excited. They're going to get eggs in the batter, right? So you got to
Yes.
tell them too much, back off, right?
Right. Right.
So something that I do, the room I'm in, this is where I work. This is where I do all my spiritual stuff, right? So I have told my guides when I am in this room, my open sign is on. I'm game for whatever you got. Bring it to the table. Let's get it out there. If I'm in Walmart, I am not open for conversation. I do not want to hear about so and so's weird old grandma. And I don't want to hear, I don't want to be walking through the store picking up on everybody's anger, because that's what is in Walmart. you know,
Right.
Set
Right.
rules for your guides. You're not going to make them mad. They're not going to be angry with you. It's not a thing with them. You have to recognize they are pure love. They are not going to be mad at you. So tell them what you need, talk to them, put it out there. Don't be afraid.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um,
I
can you
keep
give
feeling
me
like I'm really hijacking your conversation. I'm so very sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I'm loving it. Like I love it. Like if we were closer, like I would be like, okay, I'm like chilling on the couch right now. Tell me more. Uh but how would you describe living consciously? And how did you come up with the name Consciously Erin?
So the name Consciously Erin was because my business was called the Conscious Chrysalis.
Ooh,
I had
that's
a brick and
cool.
mortar wellness center with my friend Heather, and it was called the Conscious Chrysalis, meaning you are consciously choosing what you're putting in your chrysalis to become a butterfly. And I did not have a TikTok before that because my
That's
kids told me
beautiful.
I was too old. So
I get
Once
that.
we had a business, I started to realize that it could be really helpful for marketing. So I opened a TikTok account and used Consciously Erin to tie it into Conscious Chrysalis.
Love it.
So it was an accident, but a very good accident. I had someone actually message me one time and they're like, I didn't know you were Illyrian. And I go, I didn't either. What are you talking about? And they go, oh, your name's not Conscious Lyrian. And I'm like, well, that's what it looks like on there, isn't it? But no, it's not. It's Consciously Erin. So that made me start thinking, well,
Wow.
maybe I need to look into that. Well, another one of those synchronous little
Mm-hmm.
things that sort of happens, you know. But living consciously for me is making the active choice every day, all day long, on where I'm going to focus. And sometimes that means I'm going to make someone else unhappy because I'm unwilling to feed their discomfort, right? For
Oh,
example,
say that again.
I
Are
am unwilling to feed your discomfort, to
yes,
disrupt my own
and
peace,
that's okay.
and that's fine. I am a huge fan of mindful boundaries. I can love you and not invite you over, right?
Yes.
I can
Yeah,
talk to you through a screen door. I am
and
not a
that doesn't
fan
make
of
you a
cutting
bad
people
person.
off. I think cutting people off is a absolute last resort because I think more often than not, it leads to regret.
Sure.
And you block a channel that possibly has an opportunity to learn from you, to watch you grow. You don't have to feed it, but you shouldn't cut it off unless you absolutely, if it's beyond toxic, yes, please take care of yourself. But if
Yes.
it's just that one friend that every time you're around them, they want to do is talk about all the terrible things in the world, and you're like, I can't be around this person. You don't have to go out to lunch with them anymore, but don't cut them out of your life because your light might be the thing that brings them out of their darkness, right? So, but to give you a perfect example, I have a lunch date today, as a matter of fact, and he may or may not listen to this podcast later, but I have a lunch date with this friend later. And I know that he's sort of struggling with all the things happening in the world right now. And I
It's a lot.
guarantee you that when we sit down, he's going to want to talk about all this stuff that's going on. It is not going to happen. I am not going to have that conversation. I am unwilling to compromise myself in that way to make you happy. So,
Mhm.
and he knows me well enough to know that. So what's going to happen is we'll sit down, he'll start, I will redirect the conversation. I'm going to ask him about his daughter. I'm going to ask him how she's doing in volleyball. I'm going to ask him, how is gymnastics? Are you thinking about signing her up for cheerleading this year? How's the house going? You just bought a new house. What's it like? Do you like cutting the yard? It's huge. Did your dog poop all over it? Like, I'm going to do everything I can to redirect the conversation because I am unwilling to feed that. And that's what
Mhm.
conscious living is. And it doesn't mean that the things in the world around you aren't happening. It means you
Sure.
recognize you have zero ability to control or influence any of that. And the more you feed the negative feeling, the bigger it will get. That's why pushing against something does not work. You have to be the alternative. If you don't like that there's a war in another country, if you protest that war, it's not going to stop the war. You have to go out and do something else, volunteer, build care packages, be a nurse for something, do something that builds momentum in the other direction because momentum is a very real energetic thing. And the more you feed it, the bigger it gets. You have to choose to be the alternative. And believe me, plenty of people in my life do not like that about me. They tell me I am delusional, that I bury my head in the sand, blah, 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 blah. And that's great. You know what I say? I go, I love that for you. And I leave it. I don't have to feed it. I don't have to have a conversation about it. But that's what it really is. And it's not like I could do it. It's not like I walk around all day long like that. I get in my feels. I have my days. I have things,
Sure. Sure.
but I do my best to actively make a choice rather than let something else determine how my day is going to go. Because that's literally handing your power over to everything but you. And that's not okay.
Yeah, and I think it definitely does something really big energetically the more that we go in that more positive frequency, right? Like we talked about at the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, it has a ripple effect and it can be beautiful. And the more we put that out, the more we shine our light, the more we, do helpful things for others
Right.
versus focus on the most horrible things there are,
Right. I
you
mean, a
know.
lot of people come to me and they say, "Oh, I just don't know my purpose. I just don't know my purpose." What do you mean you don't know your purpose? You're freaking looking at it. You are your purpose. This is your purpose. Your life is your purpose. Your purpose is not to come and save anybody else. It's not that. And I know how that sounds when I say it, but that is true because you literally have zero influence over anybody else. The only thing you can change is right here. You come here to experience life because your higher self lives in a space that does not have time. Without time, there can be no change. Therefore, you quantumly entangle with this version of yourself and your higher self. Quantum entanglement, meaning as you learn, your higher self learns at exactly the same time through the experience, right? Therefore, it expands in a timeless space. The contrast you experience helps you expand. The joy you experience helps you expand. Birds can see the sunset, humans can appreciate the sunset. That's why we are here. The side effect of you living your purpose, of finding joy in your life, is the call to help others because you feel so good. You want everybody to feel this way. And it very naturally evolves when you've done enough work to see the benefit of this. You just want to tell everybody about it. You can't help yourself. So then the work becomes, well, what am I going to do? How am I going to teach this? That's still not your purpose. Your purpose is to figure out what gives you the most joy. Then the side effect is you teach that to other people, right? This is how that works.
And that also can positively impact people. The more you
Absolutely.
heal you, the more you find your joy, the more you step into your joy, the more authentic and
Absolutely.
aligned you are, even though it may not be your purpose, so to speak, it can positively
It's a
influence
side effect. It's 100% a side effect. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. The side effect is there's light
yes,
in the room,
which
right?
is beautiful.
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
So, and it tends to be more impactful than you realize because as adults, we learn by observation more than by being told something, right? So, if someone's telling you, like a great example is there's so many cults, right? So many cults.
Right.
And one of my favorite ones is this twin flames cult. Like, I just think it's great. So I watch these people, and these guys, they're talking about how spiritual and loving and all the things they are. At the same time, they're telling people, you can't be who you authentically think you are because I'm telling you, you have a different twin flame than you think you do. This is your twin flame. That is
Oh,
not spiritual at all. No one
no.
who is spiritual in nature should ever be telling you who you are. They should be helping you to use tools for you to figure out who you are.
Right.
No healer should be telling you, I can heal you, because that's not the job of a healer. The job of a healer is to hold the light long enough for you to recognize that you can heal yourself and to facilitate healing, but it is not there to heal you. And I think that's where a lot of people get sort of knocked around and bamboozled because they feel taken advantage of. But that's also partially because we've been trained to just go to the doctor and get a pill and feel better.
Yes. Yes. And not always told that, you have to be an active participant in your healing
Yes,
process. Nobody's going to be able to do that
I
for
cannot
you.
heal you.
Yes.
I
Yes.
cannot magic wand you. It doesn't work that way. That's unsustainable,
Absolutely.
unrealistic, and impossible. Happiness is an inside job.
That's right. Can you tell us about your Patreon community? And I want to know about your book and how they find your Patreon and your book.
Okay. So my Patreon and I believe in my book too are both linked through my website, which is just consciouslyerin.com. My Patreon is a community that I am working on with the goal of one day creating an online metaphysical university. I want to build something where you can go and take a track of study, just like at a university, and learn different things with the eye to the idea of inviting multiple teachers from multiple disciplines to contribute their information, right? This is the goal down the road. The
That's
way this
beautiful.
is starting is I've written 2 books. Okay. The first book is called The Soul Quest. This is a self-driven life coaching program because I understand that life coaching is very expensive and more people are interested in it than can seem to afford it. So what I did is I broke down my life coaching system into a workbook, basically, that gives you prompts and
Wow.
worksheets and exercises and everything to walk you step by step through things. But the way that mine is different is I give you 2 explanations for each thing I'm talking about. I give you the psychological explanation in Western psychology and the spiritual explanation so that you can see how they work together, right? So that's the Soul Quest. You can also get that on Amazon. The other book that I wrote, it's called Professor Brown Breaks It Down. It's basically a textbook for the university for my classes that I want to create. And it's 605 pages of different chapters on different topics of spirituality, ranging from the chakras to biomechanics and quantum mechanics and all that stuff. It works like an encyclopedia. It's not meant to be read front to back. It's meant to hey, I want to know what the Galactic Federation is. Turn to the table of contents. It's on this page. I can read these 3 pages and get a snapshot of that information. That book is not in print, but it is on my Patreon. So when you go to my Patreon as a member of my Patreon, which literally is only $5 a month, you guys, literally $5 for real, you can totally do it. $5 a month gives you access to 95% of everything in my shop. Each month on the first Monday of the month is New Material Monday, and I put up new chapters from that book as downloadable PDFs into my shop so that you can, one chapter at a time, digest all this information. I also have a class called Professor Brown Breaks It Down that meets once a month, that is a curriculum that I designed based on that textbook that I wrote. We are going into week 7, where we're going to be talking about soulmates, twin flames, the difference between them, and just for good measure, throwing in some Galactic Federation just to spice it up a little bit. You can subscribe to different tiers to be able to access the classes, the replays, the live classes, all that stuff. But the base membership's only $5 a month. Also, every Wednesday, you get a new article that comes out that links science and modern spirituality through some different idea that I'm exploring. That comes out every Wednesday. So long and short of it. Oh, and I have a book club. So the Soul Quest book club is on Patreon also. And that's for people who once a month we meet and discuss one chapter at a time, just like a book club. What did you learn? What do you have questions about? What do you want to talk about? How did this help you? How wasn't it helpful? All those things, just to sort of talk about the process of going through this life coaching thing.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know all of that. And I did research, dang it. But wow. Okay. I love you
Yeah.
more
So if you want,
already. I didn't know that that was possible.
so just to give you an example of some of the titles that are on my Patreon, these little chapters from my book. So we've got What is a Spiritual Awakening? Always helpful.
Yes.
Individual and collective timelines, manifestation and the law of attraction, a guide to the chakras, stages of awakening, understanding manifestation through frequency, the Schumann resonance, metaphysics in a nutshell, awakening in a world where others sleep, mediumship, channels, the clairs, spiritual awakening, spiritual psychosis, spiritual bypassing. I think I have one on there. I just put up the twin flames, soulmates, and Galactic Federation, and I still have tons of chapters left to go. I also, no one really read it, so I haven't finished it yet, but I actually started a serial novel that I put on there.
Stop.
Yeah, it's called Callum.
Erin, I'm going to reach through this computer and hug your neck in about 5 seconds.
It's called Callum, and the
Wow.
basis of it is a small town doctor runs into a patient that she can't seem to solve what's going on with him, and it leads her down this road of energy and contact from non-human intelligence and frequency and vibration and all that stuff.
My whole body's vibrating.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that
I have like 5 or 6 chapters written. I think I've only put out like 2 or 3 because literally nobody read it. So I'm like, I'm not going to keep putting it out if nobody's
Oh,
reading it. But it's a couple chapters
well,
are
I'm
out
gonna
there.
read it. I'm gonna read it. So I'm also gonna be signing up for Patreon.
You can go to my link tree, which is linked in all of my YouTube videos under the description. It's
Okay.
not on my website because I haven't put it there, but you can find it. It's there. So I encourage people to check it out. It is very limited seating. So it's first come, first serve. So check it out. I also, one more thing.
Oh my gosh.
I also once a month I do a Facebook Live with Melissa the medium on Facebook, and she's an animal intuitive and a medium, and it looks like this, where people can come on and they bring their questions, and I just jam out and channel and we talk, and that's free. The only thing you have to do is you have to go to Melissa's page because she's the one that runs it. I mean, ideally, in what I would love to do in the future is I am so in human design, I'm a projecting manifester. I need to be invited before I can connect, right? So I
Mm.
work a lot like Esther Hicks does, except I'm not channeling Abraham. It's just my higher self. But once the conversation starts, as you have witnessed through this whole podcast, it becomes an open flow of a channel. And so
Mm.
eventually, what I want to do is kind of how Esther does, where I'm in a place and you come and
Oh.
ask your questions. So if anyone wants to host me, I'm available. But yeah, that's eventually what I want to do. That the university, I have my own podcast. I have 10 different fires in the oven and it's so fun. I'm so excited.
What is your podcast?
It's called Between Frequencies.
Okay. And is that available on like Apple and Spotify?
It is. It's hard to find on Apple for some reason. You can find it pretty easily on Spotify. It's linked directly through my Patreon,
Okay.
which Patreon is actually who distributes it for me, and that's free. So but you find it on Patreon. I try my best to interview someone with a new tool each time. Like I've talked to a numerologist, a human design, emotion code, astrologer, because I'm trying to bring as much light to the tools that we have as possible.
Wow. So it's been interesting, of course, and I'm not really surprised, but there's been several times throughout our conversation that you have been incredibly blurry. I'm sure that has something to do, but like even the link at the top, like we're recording this over Zoom, has been like vibrating a couple different times. I thought you were gonna disconnect at one point. Like there's all these different amazing vibrations going on. So I just wanted to pass that on to everybody that's listening, that doesn't, well, I guess you probably still can't even see the video when that happens, but it will be on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. But it's so incredible how when these conversations take place that you can feel the universe supporting you in it, and you can feel the light vibrating off of the conversation, and I just get
Mm-hmm.
so many goosebumps and I so much excitement when that starts to happen. So
Oh
Erin,
yeah.
I'm just so incredibly happy that you joined me today. Like I
Me
am a
too.
little
And look at
emotional
that.
about it,
You
I think.
finished out your podcast by doing a callback to your very first question. What is a frequency and clarity coach? You literally just answered
I
your own question through your experience. Look at that. High five to
oh,
Source on that one.
go source, go source. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for sharing your light, your wisdom, your frequency.
Yeah,
All
it's
of
been great. It's been so fun. If you ever want to collaborate again, let me know. I am down for it. But because I'm a projecting manifester and I have a touch of the tism, I need to be invited. I don't tend to initiate. So if you have a collaboration, reach out. I'm here for it. I want to help as many people as I can. Anyone who's interested in a private session, you can only schedule them through my website. There are social media scammers all over the place that steal my information and then
they're
will
everywhere
message
right
you
now.
and try to tell you that they're me. They are not me. I don't do that. I believe in personal accountability. And the only reason for you to get help is because you're ready for it. So if you're ready, schedule a session. And for people who are wondering what it's very much like this conversation we just had. Bring all of your questions. We want to talk about all of it as much as we can, and we'll get some understanding out there, and then you move on with that.
I love that so much. Thank you. Yes, and guys, please be careful with all of the hacks out there that have been going on. Definitely just go directly to Erin's website and anybody's website for that.
Anybody's. Yeah. I promise
Because
you, if you're getting a DM from somebody and they're telling you that they felt your energy from across the universe and they have a message from your spirit guides, it is not the real person. It is not who you think it is. You might as well just block them because it's not them. It's not. They don't, no one I know works that way. Not a single
right,
person. So please
right.
don't fall for that.
Yeah, and definitely visit Erin's website. It's consciously.erin.com. Join her community on Patreon, and all of the beautiful offerings that she just discussed with us. I mean, like, oh my gosh, I'm
There's
so
more.
excited.
I had someone, I gifted a membership to a friend of mine named Mike who helps me out with my live sometimes. And he messaged me later and he goes, there's more information on here than I can read in the 1 year membership you gave me. And I'm like, well, just do the best you can. Like,
That is a question a lot of people ask, though. I had a lady ask me the other day. I don't have a Patreon currently, but they asked if you can pay a year ahead, or you have to do month to month, or you have to do 6 months. Like, is there some type of
some of them, it depends on the creator. So it's a setting that the
okay,
creator
so
has.
it's
I
different?
do not offer a year ahead of time because I don't live that far in the future. And I don't know where I'm going to be in a
Sure.
year. And I don't want you to pay for something I cannot deliver. So I would rather you go as you pay as you go. And it's only $5 a month. You can cancel whenever you want. So there's no feeling of obligation to it.
Right.
I'm trying to make it as accessible for as many people as possible. Literally $5 was the lowest they would allow me to charge. So I do my best to get it out there, but yeah, it would be
That's
great if more people would go and subscribe. I have 900 subscribers, but only like 150 people who are willing to pay the $5 a month. So it would
oh
be
my
great.
gosh. Well, yeah, I'll be getting on there for sure. And I highly encourage all of you listening. I mean, Erin's freaking amazing. And please follow her Instagram too, which I look at just about every morning. She's kind of like my morning listen with my first sip of coffee. I get super excited. I'm like, oh, I got to listen to Erin this morning. And she talks about the Schumann resonance, and she pulls cards, and she
Sometimes I
just,
throw in a dad joke.
yes. And she gives a beautiful bringing us back to the light, before she gets off, and just reminding us that, we really are in charge of, our happiness and our joy. And we really can, start out our day with some beautifulness. So thank you
Absolutely.
all so much, my beautiful sacred soul sisters and brothers, for that matter, for tuning in. May you continue to walk your journey consciously, remembering that your frequency is your light and your light is your gift. And it's such a gift. And when you work on yourself and you take time to heal yourself, or take time to even be in that theta brainwave, you have such a beautiful ripple effect on those around you and this universe. So thank you. Until next time, may you be surrounded in peace, love, and angelic light. Hey everyone, I wanted to take a quick second and say thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for listening to this podcast. And I want to take a minute and ask for a quick favor. If when you're listening to an episode, if you could please just take a second, place your hand on your heart and take a deep breath in through your nose and a long exhale out of your mouth, and just set the intention to send love and light to every single person listening right now, yesterday, and in the future. I think together we just might be able to raise the vibration of this world. I'm so excited. And please follow me on Instagram at Angel Reiki Journey. Visit my website to book an appointment with me at angelreikijourney.com. And please follow this podcast, Sacred Soul Sisters. Thank you so much. And I can't wait to talk to you again soon. Have a great day.